Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, January 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high 33. Tonight and overnight, mostly clear, low 17. And then tomorrow, a whole lot colder. Sunshine, the high is only going to be 22. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 29 and clear in Hempstead out on Long Island. It's 26 and clear in Elizabeth over in New Jersey. And it's 27 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
There are some very slick streets and sidewalks. Striking nurses nowhere close to making a new deal. A train crash in Spain has killed at least 39. Millions may have gone missing from the Hackensack school system. And should kids really be taught cursive anymore? All right, let's get into it at 5:01. So there was that fast-moving storm that rolled in late yesterday afternoon into last night. Brought 1 to 3 inches, depending on where you were. And then it was at top of Saturday's snowstorm. And I can tell you, it was pretty slick out there. I was with the family at American Dream out in East Rutherford yesterday, and we came out, and the streets were covered, and it was one of those white-knuckle drives home. And then this morning when I walked out to the car, there were people sledding at 2 in the morning.
I already knew this was going to be the spot for tonight. Perfect spot. I'm pretty surprised.
It was all right. You know, it hurt a little bit on the bottom part, but it's okay.
Well, the bus is going to be here in a few minutes, and this was the fastest way to get down the hill.
Okay, I mean, it was beautiful out this morning. It's still beautiful even now. Mayor Mamdani says about 1,000 sanitation trucks were out, salt spreaders. So the streets this morning, depending on where you are, I mean, I was on main roadways most of the way in through the Lincoln Tunnel, and not a lot of people on the roadways, of course, because it's the holiday. Most people have the day off, but it wasn't terrible. City's Department of Sanitation and Office Emergency Management urging people to slow down. Here's the acting sanitation commissioner, Javier Lohan.
Like always, just be cautious when you're on the roads. Obviously, we always recommend mass transit. But if you have to be on the roads, just take it easy. You know, we have our salt spreaders out. Take it easy out there. Take it slow. Even though you may see, blacktop, the roads are treated, just take it easy out there because they are slick.
Yeah, and he was warning, of course, about black ice.
So the black ice is one of the most dangerous things because as motorists think they get a false sense of security. They can go a little faster than they should. But we're out there actively monitoring those high spots because the elevated roadways are the ones that get tricky sometimes. So we're out there constantly. Our field supervisors are out there, and they're treating the roads as necessary. But as always, please be careful, take it slow, and give yourself some extra time.
Again, you'll have a lot of room this morning. Not a lot of people will be out there because of the Martin Luther King holiday. And then coming up in just a few minutes, Joe Nolan will have, of course, the latest on the roads and the rails. 5:03, Mayor Mamdani facing just this huge budget gap.
The freshman mayor has to handle a $12 billion gap in the city budget. The report from Comptroller Mark Levine found the city's mid-year budget gap for 2026 is $2.2 billion, and projections show even worse numbers for the next year with a gap of over $10 billion. At a press conference, Mamdani put the blame on former leaders.
Administration, the prior one, that exhibited incredible fiscal mismanagement, but also a decades-long effort from former Governor Cuomo to pilfer from city coffers at each and every turn.
Mamdani maintains in order to fund his progressive agenda, the state will have to raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
This morning, we are learning just a little more about the death of former child star Kiana Underwood in a hit and run that took place on Friday.
Police now say Underwood was struck by two vehicles as she crossed Pitkin Avenue in Brownsville against the light shortly shortly before 7 a.m. The Daily News reports she was first struck by a vehicle that was driving in the wrong lane. Then, as she lay in the street, she was struck by a second vehicle which dragged her for more than 2 blocks. Both drivers took off. Underwood, who made her film debut at age 6, was dead at the scene. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
Talks seem to be stalled. This is, day 7 of the nurses' strike here in the city, largest one in New York City history, some 16,000 walking the picket line. The cold led to a lower turnout on the strike line yesterday. It was snowing, but the nurses, they're still standing firm.
It's never too cold. We're out here in the cold because of our patients. It's so cold. It's so cold, but it's all worth the fight, you know?
Now, the nurses demanding things like lower patient-to-staff ratios, improved health care benefits, increased workplace safety, and they say they're going to stay on the strike line until they get those things.
Negotiators met with nurses at Columbia yesterday, and they did not make any new offers. There's no changes. That is not negotiating a good fate.
Now, what we've been told that there was a mediator brought in, but that talks did not go well. And then you had those talks right before we left you on Friday between New York Presbyterian and the union, and apparently those talks did not go well. Now, both sides putting the blame on each other. And then you had this story. Union officials say at least one death is now attributed to the nurses' strike. It happened at Mount Sinai, where a picketer, a retired nurse practitioner, telling union leaders that an ICU patient died because of reduced care. New York Post reporting that this patient, who was on a machine to keep their blood circulating, was not restrained and sedated properly and pulled a tube from their neck and then passed away. Now, Mount Sinai, they are pushing back against these allegations, saying they are just not true. Police today searching for a group of men behind the stabbing of a teenager during an armed robbery in Queens.
Cops say it happened on Roosevelt Avenue in Flushing. ABC 7 reports the men surrounded the 14-year-old boy and an argument broke out. 2 of the suspects took out a knife, demanded his cell phone, and when he didn't give it to them, he was stabbed in the shoulder. The suspects fled with the phone. The victim was taken to the hospital in stable condition and is expected to recover. I'm Lisa Salvati.
While we're in Queens, police searching for a man accused of stealing a car in Queens over the weekend. 72-year-old man was in the back seat. The car theft happened. This was about 7:15 on Saturday night near 44th Drive and 23rd Avenue right in Long Island City. The driver of a 2016 Subaru left his car idling with the 72-year-old in the back seat to go into his store. When the driver entered the store, someone else jumped into the car, took off with it, with the man inside. My guess is, and we don't know this for sure, is he realized there was somebody in the back. He pulled over at 53rd Avenue and 44th Street and just abandoned the vehicle. Thankfully, that 72-year-old in the back is A-OK. They have not caught the person who stole the car. WABC News Time 509. New Jersey's Department of Education releasing guidelines now to help local school districts craft rules for this new phone ban.
The new guidance goes into implementation strategies, phone storage options, including a locked pouch system, lockers, and student-controlled storage. All districts now required to adopt a K-12 bell-to-bell phone ban policy following legislation recently signed by Governor Phil Murphy. Districts have flexibility in terms of creating their own policy that will go into effect next academic year. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
The death toll continues to rise in Spain. 39 killed in a train collision in southern Spain. Dozens more injured in what's being called the country's worst rail crash in more than a decade. Train cars on a Madrid-bound train just derailed and they crossed over to the opposite tracks, colliding with an oncoming commuter train. This BBC reporter was at the scene.
A train en route from Malaga to Madrid derailed near to the city of Córdoba in Andalusia, crossing onto the other track where it hit an oncoming train.
Avanzar a los primeros coches del tren que aún hay asientos vacíos.
One passenger described the moment of impact as feeling like an earthquake and said survivors had smashed windows to escape.
Yeah, 400 passengers and staff were on board both trains. That's what the rail networks are saying. The Spanish transport minister says the death toll is nowhere near final as officials launch an investigation. He described the incident as extremely strange. He says says all the railway experts consulted by the government are extremely baffled by what exactly took place here. 511. Bring it back home out to Minneapolis, where Mayor Jacob Frey sharply critical of reports that 1,500 active duty soldiers are ready to be deployed to Minnesota amid the ongoing anti-ICE protests that are taking place there. The mayor was on CNN's State of the Union, says the move is clearly designed to intimidate the people of Minneapolis.
If the goal here is safety, we've got many mechanisms to achieve safety. And the best way to get safety is not to have an influx of even more agents, and in this case, military, in Minneapolis. If the goal here is to create peace and safety and calm, there's a very clear antidote here, which is leave.
And then we had these protesters who have met with counter demonstrations. It's kind of messy in Minneapolis. And the Minnesota Director of Public Safety urging people just to, if you're going to confront each other, just confront each other peacefully.
I'm counting on Minnesotans. I'm counting on those who are going to be in attendance at those locations to keep the peace, to show others that Minnesota is a safe place where people can demonstrate, can share their opinions and their voices without having any violence.
And that's Commissioner Bob Jacobson, who warned that any acts of violence, damage to property, threats to public safety, that's not going to be tolerated.
Any actions that harm people, destroy property, or jeopardize public safety will not be tolerated. Demonstrations must remain safe, and they must remain lawful. The Minnesota National Guard has staged in a way such that they can respond quickly if needed. Again, just as was the case last weekend, it is our hope that they won't be needed.
Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem, she took to the news shows over the weekend as a federal judge's order restricting the acts of immigration agents in Minnesota is ridiculous. Here she was on Face the Nation yesterday.
That judge's order didn't change anything for how we're operating on the ground, because it's basically telling us to do what we've already been doing.
Now, in a Friday ruling, the judge barred federal agents from retaliating against peaceful protesters or using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions.
We only use those chemical agents when there's violence happening and perpetuating, and you need to be able to establish law and order to keep people safe.
Now, the order also bars agents from stopping vehicles that are following them as long as they're maintaining some sort of safe distance. And while we're in Minneapolis, the mayor, Jacob Frey, says the Justice Department's investigation into him and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is deeply concerning if true. He made the comments on ABC's This Week yesterday.
This is a very serious matter, and this whole investigation would ultimately be the product of one of the most basic foundational responsibilities that I have as mayor, which is to speak on behalf of my constituents.
The mayor says that he has not received a subpoena from the DOJ, but he would comply if he does.
There are other countries where you get investigated for saying something that runs counter to what the federal government states. But in this country, it's not that way. Here we have a freedom of speech, and we do not negotiate those rights away.
Multiple outlets cite U.S. officials saying Walz and Frey are being investigated for allegedly obstructing federal law enforcement. The investigation reportedly focuses on statements the two leaders have made about the thousands of ICE and Border Patrol agents that have been deployed to Minneapolis. 514. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent defending President Trump's plan to impose tariffs on Denmark and its European allies who don't support the U.S. taking Greenland. Bessent argues the tariffs are a matter of national security importance.
It is a strategic decision by the president. This is a geopolitical decision, and he is able to use the economic might of the U.S. to avoid a hot war.
His comments come as the European Union is set to hold an emergency meeting to discuss President Trump's Greenland tariffs.
I believe that the Europeans will understand that the best outcome is for the U.S. to maintain or receive control of Greenland.
Now, there are two Republicans that have come out against the tariffs being imposed on European allies who don't support the U.S. taking Greenland. Speaking at a weekend news conference in Copenhagen, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski explaining her position.
When you ask the American people whether or not they think it is a good idea for the United States to acquire Greenland, the vast majority, some 75%, will say we do not think that that is a good idea.
Murkowski and Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, part of this bipartisan delegation who met with Denmark's prime minister to discuss the future of Greenland.
This visit is to, again, have this dialogue, to hear directly from the people of Greenland. And we heard about the concerns and the fears directly from the people of Greenland.
Murkowski says the tariffs will push our core European allies further away, she says, while doing nothing to advance U.S. national security. In a moment, we'll go overseas where the U.S. military was busy going after Al-Qaeda over the weekend. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:16, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Quick recap here of the divisional round in the NFL. It was a very, very exciting weekend. These games have just been blockbusters across the board. Starting here in the AFC, the Broncos edging out the Bills and ending Josh Allen's bid for his first Super Bowl appearance. They win 33-30. And out in New England, the Patriots yesterday beat the Texans 28-16. So your AFC Conference Championship between the Patriots and the Broncos out in Denver. That's set for Sunday at 3 p.m. Patriots open as 5.5-point favorites, and that has a lot to do with Bo Nix and his broken ankle, which happened a couple of plays prior to the end of the game.
Yeah, that was crazy right at the end there.
I think he did it kneeling down, actually, in the victory formation. Comes off the field and clearly grimacing in a great deal of pain. And so you're going to have to see Jarrett Stidham.
Who?
Exactly. That guy hasn't played a professional football game in something like 700 some odd days or whatever it is. And he's going to be starting the AFC.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Conference championship game. We'll see. We shall see. It'd be one heck of a story if he could bring him to the Super Bowl. And in the NFC, the Seahawks, they beat up on the Niners, man, 41-6. And last night out in Chicago, another big-time exciting game. Last-second tying touchdown heave from Caleb Williams to send this game into overtime. But the Rams do prevail. Game-winning field goal over the Bears, 20-17. So the Rams will visit the Seahawks Sunday at 6:30 p.m. And the Hawks there open as 2.5-point favorites. And, of course, sticking with the gridiron, heading over to the college football gridiron we're looking ahead to tonight at 7:30 p.m. That is your kickoff between the 10-seed Miami Hurricanes and the 1-seed Indiana Hoosiers for the college football playoff national championship game. Hoosiers there, 7.5-point favorites. Quickly here, head to the hardwood in Chicago. The Nets lost 124-102 to the Bulls to split a home set, I should say, after winning the opener on Friday night in Brooklyn. Up next for them, they'll host the Phoenix Suns tonight at 7:30. Knicks back at it tonight. They'll host the Dallas Mavericks at 5 p.m. And a tripleheader to look ahead to on the ice tonight. The Devils are out in Calgary against the Flames at 9 p.m. And 2:10 p.m. starts for the Islanders and Rangers. Islanders are out in against the Canucks, and the Rangers will be out in Anaheim against the Ducks. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. The U.S. military has killed an Al-Qaeda leader tied to last month's deadly terror attack against American soldiers.
U.S. Central Command announced Saturday the strike in Syria resulted in the death of Bilal Hassan al-Jassim, who was connected to the shooter who opened fire on U.S. troops on December 13th. In that attack, 2 U.S. service members and an American interpreter were killed, and other American and Syrian personnel were injured, according to U.S. officials. I'm Lisa Carton.
President Trump wants nations to pay $1 billion if they want a permanent seat on the new Gaza Board of Peace.
That's according to a draft charter seen by multiple news outlets. Endorsed by the United Nations Security Council, the board is an international body created to oversee the Israel-Hamas ceasefire in Gaza and other reconstructions. While there's no cost to join the board, the $1 billion would reportedly give nations a permanent seat. The administration says most of the money would be used in rebuilding Gaza. Several nations have been invited, including Canada, Argentina, and Pakistan. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
WABC News Time 521. New York Post reporting there's this sprawling internal investigation into Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer that has uncovered an alcohol stash in her D.C. office and evidence that she took subordinates to a strip club while on official departmental trip. The investigation has also confirmed rumors that Secretary pursued an inappropriate relationship with an underling were discussed internally months ago. They were dismissed by her chief of staff, but apparently all these people have been put on leave. This again, according to the New York Post. The Post says it first exposed this bombshell complaint that alleged Chavez DeRemer, who's 57, had also committed travel fraud by having two people on these trips, drinking in her office late at night, creating a hostile work environment, and her top aides belittling and bullying staffers. Again, this is from the New York Post this morning. 522, history being made in Virginia over the weekend. The first female governor has been sworn in.
I, Abigail Davis Spanberger, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
And the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Spanberger took the oath of office as the 75th governor of the state on Saturday. A speech followed, a ceremony celebrating it. Here she outlines some of her goals for Virginia.
As we write this next chapter, we will work relentlessly to make life more affordable for our fellow Virginians. We will tackle the high cost of housing, whether you're renting, buying, or trying to stay in your home.
And that was the new governor on Saturday. 523, a new poll shows a majority of Americans think the economy has grown weaker under President Trump.
A poll by the Wall Street Journal found nearly 60% of those surveyed rated the economy as not so good or poor. Less than 10% described the economy as excellent, while 33% described it as being good. The survey comes as President Trump insists his trade and tariff policies are having a positive impact on affordability issues. I'm Lisa Carton.
The Uvalde school shooting trial will continue this morning. Prosecutors in that trial of a Texas police officer accused of botching the response to the school shooting have been laying out their case that he refused to confront a gunman who was holding kids hostage in their elementary school. Here's what it sounded like on Friday.
A shot fired from an active shooter's firearm. What does that tell the police officer to do?
To go to where the shots are coming from.
Lieutenant Nick Hill with the Department of Public Safety showed the jury an animation of where officers were on that day of the attack. It was layered over audio from their body cameras. Dozens of shots can be heard as officers stood in the hallway. A total of 19 students, 2 teachers were killed that day. Hill told the jury that when an officer hears gunfire, their training is to run towards it.
And so each one of those shots associated with the gunman is potentially noticed to go to the gunman.
Yes.
Hill was on the stand and was questioned about what police are supposed to do in an active shooting situation.
The firing of the gun directs a police officer to do what?
To go to the shots.
For what purpose?
To stop the killing.
Now, the Uvalde school shooting trial is expected to begin today, but that may not be the case because of the Martin Luther King holiday. We'll check on that. 525, a stretch of road in Florida being renamed in honor of President Trump. The president was in attendance at this dedication ceremony in Palm Beach, Florida on Friday, called it an amazing gesture he'll remember the rest of his life.
So I'm tremendously honored that the main boulevard from Palm Beach International Airport to the beautiful Mar-a-Lago is being renamed in my honor. That's a very important stretch.
Palm Beach County commissioners voting unanimously to rename part of the road back in July. Now they're carrying through on it.
Today's dedication ceremony for President Donald J. Trump Boulevard is special meaning to me because I've always had the unique bond with the great state of Florida.
Stretch of road goes from Palm Beach International Airport to Mar-a-Lago. 525, former Vice President Kamala Harris says if Martin Luther King Jr. could look at the U.S. today, he'd see many Americans are fed up.
He would see that people today are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Harris delivered the keynote speech at the MLK Interfaith Breakfast in Chicago. She criticized President Trump, says he's rigged congressional maps to cheat, and he's incited distrust. Here's more of her speech from the breakfast.
When he incites distrust in our election infrastructure so that people won't vote, Well, folks are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Harris telling that Chicago audience it's time to bear down. A new study of dozens of peer-reviewed medical studies has found there's no link between the use of Tylenol in pregnancy and diagnosis of autism in children.
The findings support existing recommendations from medical groups like the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists on the safety of using acetaminophen for pain relief or fever during pregnancy. President Trump and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sparked controversy in September when they both said they believe Tylenol use in pregnancy may be leading to a rise in autism diagnoses. Kennedy has called autism a preventable disease. I'm Lisa Carton.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, January 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high 33. Tonight and overnight, mostly clear. The low's going to be 17, and then Tuesday, really cold. Sunshine, high 22. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 29 clear in Hempstead out on Long Island. It's 26 and clear in Elizabeth over in New Jersey, and it's 27 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540, as you've been hearing from Joe Nolan there. The streets are a little bit slick this morning. Mayor Mamdani says about 1,000 sanitation workers were out. 700 salt spreaders as the second storm blew through yesterday afternoon into last night. Another couple inches or so, maybe 4 inches altogether between the two storms, at least here in the city, between Saturday and Sunday. But it's ice cold now, so the streets are a little slick out there. The Emergency Management Office warning you to slow down. So is the Department of Sanitation. Acting Commissioner Javier Lohan.
Like always, just be cautious when you're on the roads. Obviously, we always recommend mass transit. But if you have to be on the roads, just take it easy. You know, we have our salt spreaders out. Take it easy out there. Take it slow. Even though you may see, blacktop, the roads are treated, just take it easy out there because they are slick.
Now, what I can tell you from my personal experience on the drive-in is the side streets are a little dicey. The main roads are just fine.
So the black ice is one of the most dangerous things because as motorists think they get a false sense of security. They can go a little faster than they should. But we're out there actively monitoring those high spots because the elevated roadways are the ones that get tricky sometimes. So we're out there constantly. Our field supervisors are out there, and they're treating the roads as necessary. But as always, please be careful, take it slow, and give yourself some extra time.
Yeah, that's your best bet. 541. We're still getting new details about this story coming in. The NYPD investigating after a man was fatally mauled by a dog on Staten Island yesterday. Police say the attack happened at a home on New Dorp Avenue in the Dorp section of the borough. It wasn't immediately clear if the victim lived in this home or if he was the dog's owner. Investigators say the incident's still under investigation. Now, the dog was taken to the ASPCA, and what we're being told is it was a pit bull. But that's the only information we have so far. Of course, as more information on what's a terrible story comes into us, we'll pass it on to you. Out to Long Island, where there are some horrified parents speaking out after a video captured a home health aide repeatedly slapping their child who has cerebral palsy. The surveillance video, which captured the attack at the child's home in Port Jefferson back on December 20th, of course, is every parent's worst nightmare. Officials say 31-year-old Bruno Valenzuela, a home health aide, was caring for the 5-year-old boy who has cerebral palsy when the child started coughing and crying. Well, Valenzuela in this video can be seen slapping the child aggressively in the back and on the chest.
He was slapping him repeatedly in the chest while yelling at him to stop crying, and then he won't stop crying, so you could see that he's visibly getting angrier at him and just hitting him again.
That's Maverick's dad, who says that he discovered bruising on Maverick's chest and back, and then so he went to look at the surveillance video, and that's when he caught this home health aide who had worked for him for 3.5 years, hitting his kid, unleashing this wave of slaps that lasted for like 6 minutes or so.
I had no signs. If you asked me like 5 days before this happened, I tell you, he's an amazing person.
Yeah, so Valenzuela was arrested at his home on Thursday night, made in a court appearance over the weekend, charged with endangering the welfare of a child, endangering the welfare of a physically disabled person. The family, they just want justice now for him.
I want him to answer for what he did to my son. I want everyone to know what he did to him.
Yeah, detectives asking anyone who believes they could have a family member who's a victim of Valenzuela, who's been in this business for a while, they're asked to call the the Special Victims Unit at the Nassau County Police Department. 5:44, nurses gathering on the picket line outside of Mount Sinai Hospital over the weekend. Day 7 of their strike. The New York State Nurses Association says its bargaining team began meetings with their counterparts at the 3 impacted hospitals, but no progress has been made. So they'll be back out there again this morning. Now, the hospital sent us a statement over the weekend saying that discussions focused on addressing the union's concerns about staffing levels. They're having them, but they say what their demands are unreasonable at this point, so they can't make a deal. The union says it put forward revised proposals that hospital officials rejected without offering a counter proposal. So they're far away from each other in terms of what they're planned to do. Health care is one of the big issues that nurses say they're going to have to pay more for health care, and they can't afford to do that.
Honestly, if you want us to just give like $4,500 per year to pay for it, and honestly, it's kind of ironic that I'm providing a service that I can't afford.
Now, the affected hospitals say their operations have been running smoothly since they hired thousands of temporary nurses to keep emergency rooms and other facilities open during the strike.
They're trying to pit 2 things against us. Do you want safe staffing or do you want your own health care? We're not settling. We want both. We want safety for us and safety for our patients.
And now union officials say at least 1 death now attributed to the nurses' strike.
It happened at Mount Sinai, where one picketer, a retired nurse practitioner, told union leaders an ICU patient died because of reduced care. The New York Post reports that patient, who was on a machine to keep their blood circulating, was not restrained and sedated properly and pulled a tube from their neck. The nurses are demanding higher pay, better benefits, and improved workplace security. The strike enters its 2nd week on Monday with no end in sight. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
In a moment, we'll head over to Hackensack, New Jersey, where it seems $15 million from the school budget's gone missing. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:46, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start with a divisional round recap across the NFL. An exciting weekend that was. We funnel in overtime from Denver, and starting in the AFC here, saw the Broncos beat the Bills on Saturday, 33-30. Bo Nix is not going to be playing in the AFC Championship game. Has that a broken ankle on the, I believe, second to last play of the ball game there. So Jarrett Stidham, the backup quarterback out in Denver. It could be quite the story. The backup quarterback out for the Broncos can take them to the bowl. We shall see coming up. But Bo Nix, Denver will be without him the rest of the way. Out in New England, the Patriots beat the Texans 28-16 yesterday. So the AFC Conference Championship is set. Patriots at Broncos Sunday at 3 p.m. Patriots open as 5.5-point favorites. To the NFC, out in Seattle, the Seahawks beat up on the Niners on Saturday 41-6 before you hit overtime in Chicago last night. Another blockbuster contest. The Rams edging out the Bears 20-17. So it'll be Rams at Seahawks next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. for your NFC Conference Championship game. Seahawks there open as 2.5-point favorites. And we're looking ahead to tonight, 7:30 p.m. kickoff out in Miami, the College Football Playoff National Championship game. 10-seed Hurricanes against the 1-seed Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana there, 7.5 point.
Who are you putting your money on that one?
I'm going to take Miami plus the points.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, why not? I think they're solid, and the Hoosiers never been there, done that. So
yeah, but look what Indiana's done on the way there.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think it'll be a good game, but we shall see. Out in Chicago, Nets lost 124-102 to the Bulls, split a home-and-home set after winning the opener on Friday night in Brooklyn. Up next for them, they'll host the Phoenix Suns tonight at 7:30. Knicks back at it this evening at 5 p.m. They'll welcome in the Dallas Mavericks, and all three local NHL squads back on the ice tonight. Devils get going in Calgary against the Flames at 9 p.m. Islanders in Vancouver against the Canucks at 10 p.m. And the Rangers also at 10 p.m. will be out in Anaheim against the Ducks. That is your Sports Noah, man. I'm Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. The Palisades Center Mall in Rockland County is headed for the auction block now.
The nation's 12th largest mall is set to be sold to the highest bidder on February 4th. Court papers show its estimated value at over $463 million. The Journal News reports the mall has been targeted for foreclosure since 2023. Palisades Center is a major taxpayer for local municipalities. Its major tenants, according to its website, include Macy's, Best Buy, Gap, and H&M. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
NYPD releasing photos of a wanted man accused of attacking an MTA employee aboard a subway.
Cops say the victim was inside the conductor's cabin on an A train entering Beach 25th Street station when the suspect punched him in the face. It happened just before 1:30 in the morning Thursday. The 37-year-old victim taken to St. John's Hospital. The suspect ran away on the northbound platform. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:51. There's a sudden and unexpected money problem in Hackensack, New Jersey. School district recently discovered it's facing a $15 million budget shortfall. So where did the money go? Well, that's the question everybody's asking over in Hackensack. They haven't so far figured that out. Here's the Board of Education President, Jennifer Harris.
This problem was not created overnight. Rather, it is a culmination of improper budgeting practices over the past several years.
I feel completely blindsided.
Yeah, I bet. Concern growing about Hackensack community over whether teachers could be out of work or others because there's just not the money there. While they try to figure it out, they'll have to make up for what's missing. So they're going to have more board meetings ahead where they'll try to figure out where the money went or what they're going to do if they can't figure out where it went.
Addressing this projected shortfall will require difficult decisions, including reductions in expenses that will impact resources and staffing.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. But so far, they don't know where the money went. 5:52, New York City Council announcing a 5-point plan to fight anti-Semitism. Speaking from the Museum of Jewish Heritage in Lower Manhattan, Council Speaker Julie Menon said anti-Semitic incidents accounted for 57% of reported hate crimes in the city last year.
That means that over half of our city's hate crimes are targeted towards a single group. And that statistic presents a cruel reality that we must confront head on.
The legislative and funding package focuses on education, boosting community safety and resources to confront hate. It calls for establishing a safe perimeter around houses of worship, increased security at schools, and creating a dedicated hotline to report incidents of anti-Semitism.
New Yorkers should never be fearful to practice their faith, no matter what their faith is. They should always have confidence and pride in their identities, and we are going to use every single tool at our disposal to ensure that.
The plan also includes allocating about $1 million in new funding to the Museum of Jewish Heritage. The FDNY, investigating after a massive fire over the weekend in a Queens building, sent 9 people to the hospital.
Fire officials say it happened at just after 4 a.m. on Flushing Avenue in Ridgewood. The fire started in the tire store on the ground floor and quickly spread to the apartments above it. At one point, firefighters were attacking the flames from the inside, but had to come out because of a partial building collapse in the rear. 4 firefighters, a child, and a pregnant woman were among the injured, and they're all expected to be okay. The Red Cross is helping 30 people find temporary housing. I'm Lisa Salvati.
WABC News Time 554. A bill that would require elementary school students in New Jersey to learn cursive handwriting has made it to the governor's desk with overwhelming bipartisan support. Many schools across the country, of course, dropped cursive instruction when the Common Core standards back in 2010 placed a greater emphasis on keyboarding. But some districts, like Hamilton Township in central New Jersey, have kept cursive writing in their curriculum. Here's the Hamilton School District Curriculum Director, Anthony Scotto, explaining why he wants his students to continue to learn how to write cursive.
There are times where you may still preserve things that are no longer in standards that you feel are still important. And I think cursive is an example of that.
All right. That's an idea that has united both sides, Republicans and Democrats, in the New Jersey legislature. So this bill to require cursive instruction for grades 3 to 5 passed by a combined 112 to 1 vote in the state and Senate Assembly. So if the bill passes, that has to go a couple of more things. But if it makes through those hurdles, it'll be mandatory that your kids in 3 to 5 grade will have to learn cursive. So here again is the Hamilton School District Curriculum Director, Anthony Scotto, explaining why it's important for kids to learn cursive in 2026.
They're signing a check?
For signing a check. Okay, well, that was the last time anybody signed a check, but okay.
They're signing a check.
Okay.
If they're reading a card or a letter.
Oh, God.
If they're reading a document.
Yeah.
But also that it's an identifier of who they are as an individual.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Fine. And we'll end with this story. A school security guard in Orange County in the right place at the right time to save the life of a young student who was choking in the cafeteria. Tyreek Johnson's job title is security guard, but the guardian angel might be more appropriate. Laya Ventura started choking on a pretzel in the lunchroom. She's 7 years old, and that's when Tyreek Johnson raced in to help her.
I would like to say to him, thank you so much for saving me.
I was honestly grateful. We were grateful that he, just went right into action. Just super grateful.
Yeah, so that's Laya and her parents going to the school to thank Tyreek. Now, this is not the first time he's done this. He has saved 3 students from choking over the last couple of years.
She made a noise, and I kind of knew at that moment, all right, she can breathe again a little bit. Thank God I was there, and I was just truly happy and amazed to be able to help her in that time of need.
Yeah, he's very modest, Tyreek, but people at the school say he really is a hero.
Our staff is ready to jump in whenever they need to, and the fact that he's done it more than once, he's skilled and they get the training that they need, and he's very caring and takes care of our students.
Yeah, nice job done by Tyreek Johnson.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.